Hello, everybody. This is part 2 of this mini retreat called Into the Fray. I'd like to suggest that if you have not watched part 1, please look at that first, because what I'm going to talk about today builds off of that. About 35 years ago, I was in Germany for the first time in my life, and I was with another priest visiting the city of Munich, which is a pretty modern day city. We decided one day to go out to Dachau, which is the site of one of the infamous concentration camps of World War II. And it has been opened up so that visitors can come in. So we took a bus out to Dachau, and we made a mistake. We got off at the wrong bus stop. We got off in the town, not at the concentration camp. Once we realized that, we decided no real problem. We could walk the distance, which was maybe a mile or two, but not really strenuous. So we walked through this really quite beautiful village. And as we're going through it, out to the camp, which by the way is horrendous, overwhelming, more than I could handle personally, emotionally. But going through the village, we found ourselves asking the same question. Did the people who lived there know what was going on right outside of the town? Were they turning their back on reality? Were they ignorant? Had they been kept in the dark? Or did they allow themselves to not know? Now, I don't want to be judgmental, but that is the kind of question we often have to ask ourselves. What do we see? What do we not see? What do we choose not to see? I call this session 2020 Vision. And it's a play on the word 2020. It's the year 2020, but also we think of 2020 vision as clarity of sight. So we have to see what we learn to see what we can see. We live in two worlds, as I said in part 1. What do we see in this world that we can remedy with all that we have by the other world, the world of discipleship? Now, one of the things that grew out of the Second Vatican Council, which I personally just love, is that in several of the documents, including the document on the church in the modern world, Gaudium et Spes, they started with a section that was called the signs of the times. In other words, they said, we're not going to look at the church just in some sort of ethereal way, like it's out there or it's above reality, but the church is located in the world. What are the signs of the times in this time that we now live? So I'm going to do the same question, ask the same question. What are the signs of the times? Obviously, we have COVID-19, which is still pressing on us in a very, very incredible, strong, obvious way. We have the protests in the streets. Racism has been raised to a new level of consciousness for most of us. We have people unemployed. We have people who are hungry. We have people who are suffering domestic violence, and the list goes on. On top of that, the signs of the times also show that the opioid crisis is still with us. We have questions of immigration and people of other nationalities and how are they being treated. We have numerous questions of how we respect life, human life, from the aged to the young, to those with disabilities, and certainly the question of abortion, the unborn. These are signs of the times. It can be depressing, but in the signs of the times, we also have to look at the signs of what we have to offer. And we live in a time where there's some of the best communications ever. We've got the ability to get a message out rather quickly. We are fortunate in so many ways because we do have good education, good healthcare for many people. We have the ability to really make a difference. That's also part of the signs of the times. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed, but many people sort of live in their own world, their own bubble. You know, they know their friends, they know their neighborhood, they know their community. And even people drive to work the same route every time. They go to visit their parents, same way every time. They go to the same shopping area. What would happen if we went through different neighborhoods? What if we just tried to see more than we presently see. I suspect what's going to happen is our eyes would be opened and we would start to see other people, and we might see people in different ways. One of our favorite passages from Scripture, and I think we all know this, is Matthew 25:30, the final judgment, when the master comes and says, "Welcome to the kingdom, because I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was in prison and I was sick and you visited me." The response from the people is, "Lord, when did we see you hungry? When did we see you thirsty?" It's a question of, do we see people? Because even the ones that get judged negatively, "We didn't see you, Lord." Did they see anybody? Did they see their neighbors? We have to learn to see. We have to learn to see beyond the obvious. When we have our Thanksgiving food drive, we have other food drives, but when we have the Thanksgiving pantry drive for the St. Louis Helping Hands in East Toledo, not only do we collect a lot of food, but I almost always have the kids, along with their parents, deliver the food and sort it. It's a good activity for kids to get involved, but one of my main reasons for doing that is I want these families to get out of our own neighborhoods and see other people and see other parts of the world. We have to expand our vision. We have to be able to see. That is the challenge. 2020 Vision is calling us. And only when we see what's really going on, then we can do something about it. In the next session, I'm going to talk about what we can do. It's a very hope-filled ending that we have possibility. But for now, we have to look at the signs of the times. My question for you to ponder this week or from this session is very simple. What can each of us do to better understand the needs of our local area? What can each of us do to better understand the needs of our local area? Thank you for watching. I hope you tune in again Friday for the final segment of this mini retreat.